So something has been brought to my attention regarding people's racial perceptions. And I have to talk about it. Apparently in the world of academia with the younger kids, there's a big hubbub and a big confusion about what black is. And then there's a very technical semantics centered fixation on people's race. And I didn't know it was happening to the extent that it apparently is happening. And so I would just like to give a brief history lesson. And this is especially for white people. White people, I would like for you to know what black actually is and what black has been. Because I've heard about this for a very long time, here and there. And it's reaching a boiling point with people's confusion and people's perception as to what black is. Let me tell you what black has meant in America. Once and for all, you never have to listen to anybody. I am right. What I'm about to tell you in regards to what black is 100% accurate, and you never need to listen to anybody ever again. What black is in America. You know how the Africans came over here or were brought over here? Slavery. What African American is no matter how white your skin is. Has been decided. This is historically true. America has operated by what's called the one drop rule. Meaning, if you have one drop of African genetics in you, that's perceivable, that therefore you look any kind of way non-white, you are African American. Your skin could be extremely white. And sure, did some black people passe blanc? Some black people who had very fair skin were able to pass, so to speak, were able to ingratiate and assimilate, were able to maneuver around a lot of the overt racism. But by and large, they still were subjugated and were still at the mercy of racial intolerance. Because what the one drop rule was meant to do, it was meant to maintain the purity of the white race. So what African American and what black is, I'm trying to really go through this quickly. What black is, if you have African ancestry in you, so let's say, okay, let's get really specific. Let's say a slave owner, let's say even he had consensual sex with a slave. Let's go there. Let's not bring it down. You know the atrocities of slavery. Let's say he had biracial baby, right? Back then, there was no, oh, look at this biracial baby. No, there was no biracial baby. Look at this black baby with light skin. You're black. You are black. That has been the precedent. That has been the standard for what African American has been. And let me tell you this. Furthermore, arguably, although there was a perverse interest in this one drop rule, although the interest was in maintaining the purity, quote unquote, of white America and maintaining the separation of white America versus all non-white Americans, that was the interest and the intention. Although that was the intention, it had a perverse benefit. So now let me tell you about something that I think set the standard for me even further. Why the one drop rule should be still. Why the one drop rule should still matter. I grew up in New Orleans, okay? And there's something called New Orleans Creole. But put aside this New Orleans Creole bullshit. I grew up in New Orleans. Mariah Carey and Drake. Plop them in your mind. Put Mariah Carey. Let's focus on Mariah Carey. There was nothing but Mariah Carey's growing up. I have a bunch of family members. I have a bunch of cousins that their skin is literally vanilla. Both of my grandmothers, their skin is literally white. Mariah Carey, when I was growing up, there was never any kind of question, any kind of confusion, any kind of doubt that she was black. Because with the way that we grew up in New Orleans, you get 50 black kids together, 30 of them, 20 of them, maybe even literally half of them will have vanilla skin. They'll have very, very mixed features. Why? Because New Orleans history is that of European history, and the Europeans and whatnot mixed with black people, And then those mixed black people got with other mixed black people, and then those mixed black people got with other. So my point is this: it was highly beneficial. There was colorism in the black community. There was colorism in the black community. Don't get it twisted. There was talks of, I heard light-skinned girls talking about how they want a dark-skinned guy. I've heard dudes talk about how they want a light-skinned girl. You know, I've heard all the colorism shit. I've seen it all. But there was never any kind of question, no matter how fair-skinned you were, no matter how Mariah Carey looking you were, there was never any question of your blackness. You were just black. Yes, human beings, being the human beings that we are, we'll find a way to discriminate. We'll find a way to separate. We'll find a way to, I mean, look, colonialism did do a number on everybody, man. I hear about in India, like a lot of people of color, they have hangups where the lighter you are, the better you are. 100%. Now, and I see it in a bunch of different cultures. So colonialism did a number on a lot of groups of people to where now there's an association with the lighter, the better, 100%. But one thing, so my point is, due to all of this, these complex possibilities in regards to when we are labeling each other as this or that, the one drop rule united black people of all different shades, no matter how white skinned you were, no matter how black skinned you were, it was all under the banner of black. And especially historically speaking, when during the civil rights movement and whatnot, imagine there being like, okay, so we need freedom, not just for black people, but for caramel people. And not just for caramel people, but for vanilla black people. No, black people. We're all, boom. White America, historically in the past, the legacy of white supremacy is that they tried to maintain the purity of white America by saying, any of you mother effers who have African ancestry in you, no matter how fair-skinned you are black. So let's keep it going. That's my point. Let's keep it going. Now there's just tons of people who are like, but you know what it is too? This is my point. My point is, no matter the differences between each other, and I grew up predominantly black, 98% black. There was not a white person in sight. It's just like the only time I saw white people when I was growing up in New Orleans is when I went to the dang on French Quarter. Okay. So I had an extremely black experience. I'm telling you, it was highly beneficial that my fair-skinned friends, my vanilla cousins, my best friend who has vanilla skin, so to speak, brownish vanilla. It was super helpful that it was just all black. Even though it was meant to oppress, even though it was meant to ensure segregation, that it reached every corner of ethnicities, of different variety of genetics, African genetics. It was beneficial because my point is, we don't need to be hung up on, I'm 20% this, 20%. If you really are in tune with your heritage and you really are like, trying, like if you really are proud of your Asian heritage or whatnot, that's fine. I'm not mad at that. Like my brother did a DNA test. My brother Eric did a DNA test, and apparently he's like basically freaking 50% European. You know, I'm not sure what my DNA test would say, but that's my damn brother. And I have both my grandmothers could freaking have the skin of white women, and one of my grandmothers looks damn near like a white woman. So and that's New Orleans. But my point is that this is only going to cause more division. It only causes more division when you try to fixate on, okay, how much am I different from you? I'm different from you because I have 30% this, 20% that. Oh, I'm not black. Oh, I'm not this. I guess what I'm saying is you can't just now decide what black is. I'll give you a better example why this needs to have a conversation. So like my best friend that I've been talking about, he's extremely racially ambiguous to, I guess, everybody outside New Orleans, right? To me, he looks like a black dude. But people who are not familiar with that kind of his combination of mixture, they're like, oh, what are you? You look like you're this, you look like you're that. I ain't mad at it. And then my brother has a friend as well who I just saw recently when I went to DC, who he lives in New York, and he's constantly people are constantly questioning like, oh, what are you? This or that. And he's like, I'm black, because he grew up in New Orleans as well. y'all, I guess what I'm bothered by is why isn't there any kind of universal knowledge in this country as to what black actually is? Like y'all think, because I've heard it before about like y'all think black is just what you see in a rap video. You think black is a skin color. No, black, what it has been historically, black has been, you got African ancestry, and boom, that's it. No matter what other mixtures you have, you're black. So now, yes, you have every right to say, I'm this, I'm that. I guess it goes back to, so now we get to pick and choose, huh? So now there's a selectivity. I guess my point is, this is my ultimate point. I'm gonna shut up. This is my point. Where do the technicalities end? I remember when Obama first hit the scene. I remember when Obama, and I remember there was this white gentleman talking, intellectual gentleman or something. He was being interviewed, and this was when Obama first hit the scene before he was president. And the guy was like, "Oh, why are we calling him black? He's really biracial." And I'm like, how convenient. How convenient. He's biracial, huh? Let me ask you this: where do the technicalities end? Where do the technicalities end? Because again, my brother who's 50% European, so what is he? Is he biracial? Is he multiracial? My grandmothers, are they multiracial then? Like my best friend, is he multiracial? If I take a DNA test and I have like 40% European, am I multiracial? Where do the technicalities end? If you want to champion and be a fan, if you want to say I'm biracial, fine. If you want to say I'm multiracial, fine. But don't ignore what black has been. And don't ignore what black traditionally, historically in this country has been. And I'm a fan of it because we don't need to be fixating on the nuances of our race. We can look at it in terms of like, oh, that's interesting. But to the extent that we're taking it so much further and like it defines us. What I loved was that like we were just, everybody, all the Mariah Carey, all the Drake looking mother effers, we're all just black. Moving on. What else is there to care about? This racial fixation is crazy because I'm not mad at acknowledging one's blackness. I'm not mad at acknowledging your Irishness, your Germanness, your Italianness. You know what I'm saying? It's not about rejecting our heritage or our genetics or our racial genetics, but it is about this emphasis as if it's so meaningful. It's not that damn meaningful to where it needs to be the focus of it all. Our humanity should be the focus of it all. When we're talking about white supremacy and like in relation to Black America, we need to be talking about how can Black America and white America humanize each other. I'm not saying that race doesn't have any kind of factor in this where we don't need to be talking about when race matters. But the most important thing in all of this, no matter how mixed you are, and this is what I loved about growing up in New Orleans, no matter how much we're all just humans trying to make it. When I looked at the light skin, we're all just, I know you're just you're my black brother, you're my human brother, you're my brother. My boy who's like light skinned as hell and stuff, it's not about like, my light skinned best friend, it's like my brother, man. It's like, it's not even about my black best friend. It was just a bunch, because it's the same. White people look at each other as this is just, they're like, this is not my white brother, my white sister, this is my brother, my sister, this is my friend. This is just another human being that I like. That's how it was growing up for me in New Orleans. Because since black was such a normalcy, since black was such the predominant thing that I was accustomed to, I saw it was just human beings, no matter what shade they were. No matter what color they were, no matter how much they looked like Mariah Carey. And again, it wasn't until I left New Orleans when I heard people even questioning the race of Mariah Carey. I was genuinely confused. Like, what? She's black. What's so confusing here? She's black. So I guess I want to speak to just how relative it is. And don't act like the one drop rule has not been the standard. But more importantly than all of this, you can acknowledge your genetics, your ethnicities. But the humanity of it all is more important than anything. I guess that's what I'm really trying to say. It's the humanity should be the emphasis. It should be the priority. But I'm mad because the humanity should be the priority. But at the same time, people are not even acknowledging what black actually is. Now we're just deciding whatever we want, huh? And anyway, I rambled. I ranted.